What's up? What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke. What is
good,
up? Bro? What is up, my partner? Them. How we living today, man?
I'm good, man. How about you? How's everything
Man,
going?
come
Friday.
on, bro. It's early as heck. It don't matter if it's Friday. It could be Thursday. It could be the Lord's Day. It's early. So, yes. But either way, man, it's a great day, baby. So, you know, we got plenty to talk about. But I first got to start by saying I did get a new upgrade in my room, man. I went from the pit to the palace. I'm feeling real nice in my new room, man.
Couch, right?
It is. I got a bigger couch.
Looks
it's got
more
this
comfy.
You know what I'm saying? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Bed a little bit bigger. And I got a view. That's all I'm throwing out there. I got a view now. So I do feel
in town tonight on a Friday?
Hey, man, you know what, man? Probably not.
Hey, did you get that shirt? Did you get that shirt before or after the tattoo?
Before. But hey, that's dope you remembered it though, man. Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Got my little Nirvana, man. You know how we in here dueling it up, baby. But yeah,
well,
yeah,
you know
man.
how I feel about band shirts too. The dude wearing them has to at least know 5 songs.
Right.
At least. And I know you're like a music savant. You like
right.
So I don't even have to question you on that.
Right. But there are people I know exactly what you are saying, man. You be like, yo, you ever heard of Metallica? Nah. It's like, well, why you got the shirt on?
Hey, I gotta give Steely Macaphiliac a shout out here. He had this
no
prediction
doubt.
before we even popped on. He goes, prediction.
Uh-huh.
Deke wears a black throwback Pens jersey. So he's wrong on that. And then Moats paints his chest blue and red.
Wow. Why y'all trying me like that, man? Come on, man.
So he failed on both.
That is crazy. Why I gotta be painting my chest blue and red and all this other nonsense, man? You know it's black and gold. Come on now.
Speaking of Penguins, they're playing their shit. I don't know if you tuned into anything out there? They got
honestly
yesterday. Jari let up 3 goals and like 5 shots.
Holy cow. No, man. I did not
didn't even
know
watch
that,
the
man.
game. People were just telling me on Twitch yesterday.
Yeah. Listen, by the time my day is finished, I have to decide, do I want to watch film? Do I want to talk to the fam? Or do I want to get some sleep? And I try to do a combo of all 3 at once, man.
Yeah.
But either way, man, we're not going to complain. Like I said, man, it's all love because...
No, you got 3 more weeks.
I'm enlightening myself. 3 more weeks. But nah, man, it's been cool, man. It's definitely been a vibe out here. And like I said, helping me become more centered. Without eating all that butter and stuff that my man... Aaron was doing. I ain't with all that. No. In fact, I had pork chop last night, baby. Yeah. I ain't messing around. You got to feed me right, okay?
Nice. They're treating you well out there.
Absolutely, man. I told them I knew you, and they started to get. That's when I got the upgrade. It was like, oh, no. How about you get upstairs into the big bedroom with the big TV? I was like, oh, because I know Deke was like, absolutely. So, salute you.
Okay. Glad I could help.
Yes, indeed, man. So with that being said, everybody let us know where you are tuning in from, and we will give you that big boy shout out. But also, I just thought about something. We usually say make sure you like the vid when somebody says it in the comment section. So I just said at the beginning, while we're giving you these big boy shout outs, make sure you tap that like button while we do that as well, so we can all multitask at the same time, baby.
We had a couple people already saying to do that anyway, too. They know the drill.
And I was going to say, man,
we support that. We always appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. I forgot the guy's name, but we had a dude, when I set the link up last night, he was like, yo, just give it the early thumbs up. I was like, bro, I literally just put this link up. Yo, you a real one.
100%.
Yes, indeed. All right, so let's see. Where are we going to... I started right here, man. Donald Copeland. Checking in from the Hill District, the 412. What up, baby? Zach Grandel. Oh, he's out there with me. What's good from Washington State? Oh, see you on that early rise. Okay. Rise and grind, roast and toast, wake and bake, whatever you calls it. Then we got John Biondio. Polk County, the 863. Okay, yeah, definitely home of the Pouncey Brothers. Yes, indeed. And Stan Clear, the 905 Toronto. T. Dot in the building. And then I got one more on my end before I turn it over to Deke, or Dekey Do, as my man Zeke Shazier likes to call you. I think it was Zeke, right? Or maybe, yeah, I think it was. If I remember, or Bart by, no, it wasn't Bart. I can't remember, but one of them. Anywho, Ronnie Dove says, what's up? From the 817, Alvarado, Texas. All right.
AJ Martinez says, good morning, guys. Santa Fe, Mexico, 505.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
The Brobarian, 757,
Oh.
Chesapeake. Y'all know who it is. Just listen to Mob Deep.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Oh, boy said he got them shook was bumping this morning, man. He set the tone early.
Big Ben, 2493, the username. Howdy, y'all, from the 407 Orlando.
Okay. I always love when 7 tune in with us, man.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
I think he just got a random Steeler fan as his profile pic.
Yeah, well, he's trying to be.
Maybe it's his burner account. You think
he's trying to stay low key. I think it's his actual account. I just think he's trying to stay real low key because if everybody sees his profile pic with the name, then they're all gonna know it's him. So I think that's why he's trying to throw people off a little bit.
Yeah. Rod Dallas, always tuning in. 614 Columbus, Ohio, Southside.
There it is.
Kirk Hollander, 276 Southwest Virginia.
Okay, Southwest Virginia. All right, shout out to that.
Richard Miller, Erie, PA, the 814. Love the early shows. Makes my morning of work go so much faster. Appreciate you.
There we go.
We got
man.
some people.
There we go. We got some morning people out here. We got some morning people out here.
Perspectives on it. That's fine.
Like I said, man, I salute all my morning people out here, baby. I'm trying to become one of them. This ain't my vibe. This is not my vibe. But because we appreciate everybody tuning in, sometimes we gotta make sacrifices on this end, and that's what we fit to do. So it's all good, baby. It is all good.
918 Tulsa, Oklahoma. Just got done blasting off. That is Nick Y. And
I'll
do 2 more.
Take off.
Stang Bang, 21. He's always in the house.
Yes, he is.
Riverside, California, in the upper room.
Oh, there it is. Hey. I like it.
Matizich, 201, Bergenfield, New Jersey. Moving to 732, Hazlet, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of Hazlet. Yeah, okay.
Good luck with the move.
No, seriously, man. Hopefully it doesn't, take too much energy from me. I remember, man, I hated moving at times just because you got to start getting everything back organized, putting everything in.
How'd that work for you in terms of getting
the relocation here?
No. What I'm saying is getting people involved, or friends, family. Or did you just go U-Haul, didn't ask anyone?
Yeah, for me, before I got to the NFL, anytime I needed to move anything, it was going to be me. And I wasn't even getting a U-Haul. I was trying to put everything in a car or, a friend's car and kind of roll like that. But since then, as a professional, I ain't gonna lie, Deke, I done got real bougie.
Yeah.
So
you did the stuff with the friends then?
Yeah, I would. But at the same time, though, I would never ask them to come help. It would just be like, yo, can I get you? If I need your car. Yeah, it would be more like that. Yeah. Because I ain't gonna lie, man. I know me. I don't like when people would ask me to come help move
on a Saturday.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm not gonna ask you because I don't want you to turn around and ask me. Yeah, man. So that was kind of how I would always leave it out there like that, man.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but like I said, now I'm super duper bougie. I don't even want to pack my daggone luggage. I'd be like, yo, can I valet it? Can somebody come and get this? Yeah, I'm that guy. But I tip well, if that's any consolation.
Yeah,
man. I like it though.
As long as you ain't pulling a Michael Jordan or anything these days.
Oh, no. Well, like I said, I try to do it the right way. Yeah. But yeah, man, if you're ready, man, let's get into this first topic, man. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Because we got a full docket, man. We got to obviously talk about some franchise tag candidates. We're going to talk about a free agent, big name free agent that we've been eyeing for the past year now, potentially showing a little liking to us. And we got some more player draft prospects that we're going to break down that, once again, y'all have sent in. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Continuing to send these names into Moats' winners. So MOATS winners at gmail.com. Just Moats and winners, because we're all winners, and my name is Moats, and it's at gmail.com. But yeah, y'all keep sending those prospects in. We'll keep breaking them down and having a list like we will do today as well. But this first topic, man, we are going to hit is a goodie. It's a real good one. Deke, talk to him, Deke. What was going on with my man Stephon Gilmore, man? Obviously, he's the big name free agent that we were looking at a year ago before he was actually on the market, and we were trying to trade for him potentially, and we didn't. And we were a little bit frustrated about that because obviously
all it was
when we saw pick. Yeah. when we saw what he actually was traded for, and then we looked at what we actually traded to even get Akello at the time, we were definitely a little perturbed about the situation. But since then, a lot has changed. Since then, maybe he and we have a chance to spin the block. So, talk about what we got going on here, man.
Okay. So not only is he just maybe a natural fit for us because we're a decent organization, we're still going to try to be relevant.
What you mean a decent organization? Don't you short play the Steelers like that? A decent organization. Wow.
The best organization in the league, but I wanted to stay humble. Well, let's just say, top five franchise,
Okay, fair enough.
Ownership, down to coaching.
Yeah.
Just class all around. We're in the mix. And we're looking for a cornerback. So that was just
and we're looking for a quarterback on top of that.
Yeah. So what Stephon Gilmore did to get everyone all hot and bothered is he simply liked a tweet, and this is from Bleacher Report. It says Flores was hired as it's a picture from Bleacher Report Gridiron. It's like a split picture where there's Flores on one side and Tomlin on the other. And it says, the caption reads, Flores was hired as Pittsburgh's senior defensive assistant and linebackers coach a day after the call. Mike T is that guy with a period. And that's it. Stephon Gilmore liked that.
Well, we know how to
social. Also,
hey, okay, keep it going, baby.
I did some extra research.
Yeah,
I know there was the connection between Gilmore and Flores naturally because of Flores being a Patriots coach.
Correct.
But he even reacted to Twitter whenever Flores got fired from Miami. He says, Flores is a great coach. That's wild. So these tweets aren't anything crazy.
Yeah.
But I do think where there's smoke, there's fire sometimes, right?
No, you're 100% correct,
there has to be
correct,
some type of interest in Brian Flores and Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization.
Yeah, and
especially
the reason,
with us needing a cornerback too.
And I was gonna say the reason I would agree with that also, man, is as players, you hardly ever have to go out of your way to, or you hardly ever want to go out of your way to associate with any type of like public negativity, right? Because we know when Brian Flores was fired and everything started to come out with his comments and stuff like that, he became a little bit under fire. And we know how people get. I mean, if you supported him, then people were going to say things like that or say things against you. And obviously you had it both ways, but as players, typically you don't want to entertain that unless you're truly passionate, unless you truly feel it's necessary. So when you talk about him making the tweet that he made, that is valid. I do think that holds legs. But then when you talk about him even liking the Instagram post, now granted, it's not to the same level, but I still think that it does show a little bit of a pattern that at least, not for nothing, Gilmore does have an affinity for Brian Flores. Now, we don't know to the extent of it fully, but we know that we at least have a entry now, because prior to that, where was the natural connection between Stephon Gilmore and the Pittsburgh Steelers? There really wasn't, outside of maybe former players or teammates and things like that. But now when you have a guy like Brian Flores who's actually worked with him, like, that's different. And you got to think, while they were together in New England, they did big winning plenty of times, So with that, yeah, you're going to have this natural relationship. And if you can feel like, hey, this is the coach that I like to be around, I think that, I respect the heck out of him. But then you got to coach Tomlin as well with that. Well, for Stephon Gilmore, who might be saying to himself, yeah, I didn't get to decide going to Carolina because it was obviously a trade, but now I get a little bit of a say-so here. Maybe
Carolina's a dumpster fire,
right? So it's like maybe
that's his hometown team and everything, but there's no way he wants to go back to that,
right? Because now you're just kind of looking and you're saying to yourself, like, man, I could stay, in the crib because he's from Rock Hill, so it's not far from where the Panthers play at. But he could also be looking and saying to himself, I want to go back and potentially compete for another Lombardi. And if he feels like, man, there's enough pieces already here, obviously we need one or two things, then maybe he's looking at that and saying, I could be a difference maker. I could be that guy to come in here. And if I'm paired with my guy, Brian Flores, if I'm paired with the Mike Tomlin, who I respect at a high level, and I know I'm going to come here and be the number one corner like I'm accustomed to being, well, then, yeah, it could very much, be a telltale sign. And that's the part for me where I'm just like, all right, okay, I like that right there, man.
Bro, him and Akello, that could be different.
That'll be filthy,
Akello
bro.
keeps playing like
filthy,
he did
bro.
last year, and we get Gilmore even at this stage of his career. I think he's still got a solid 2 or 3 years left.
Oh, without a doubt,
being like a number one corner.
And
made a Pro Bowl last year in his 9 games in Carolina.
And he's a legit man-to-man corner too, not a zone guy, he only plays cover 3. Like no. This is one of those, you put him on that dog over there, and don't worry about him the rest of the day. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of vibe, or at least that's what it's been for a while with him now. So yeah, man, I definitely would like that a lot because I mean he's a huge upgrade. I know for me, it's my former teammate, so I got love for him. I can go up here and sell him to anybody. Just because I've seen his work ethic, I've seen his demeanor, I know he's a tough player, mentally and physically. He handles adversity. He can handle criticism. He can handle being in the spotlight. Because that's another thing. When you're drafted where he was drafted at, in terms of being a top 5, top 10 pick, and you're coming into a situation like he did in Buffalo, it's like, man, that's not easy to deal with. But I've seen him overcome that. Then you go to New England, your interconference rival. But then you go there despite criticism, despite people talking about you, and then you go on and continue to play. And even in some parts, he felt that he exceeded his contract, which is crazy to think with how big it was. But
he definitely did.
Yeah.
To get that defensive player of the year.
Right, dude. Like, that's crazy. He got a depot. He was a big reason why they won a Super Bowl. Like, when you throw all of that in there, and he doesn't have this extensive injury history. He doesn't have really any off-field baggage. Like, to me, man, I love Gilly. Like, Gilly's a dude that, man, you want on your team because he's no nonsense. He's a leader. And like I said, man, he plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. And he's a film junkie. He watched that tape. He definitely watches that tape. So, man, when you talk about having a high-end pedigree guy like that, outside of TJ Watt, we don't have another depot on our defense right now. So, yeah, man.
Back to the days of having
that's what I'm saying, man.
James Harrison.
Absolutely. So, trust me, man, if it's up to me, I'm calling him right now. Bro, look, you need to be here. This is the spot for you. I don't care what anybody else talking about. This is the spot for you. Like, that's just my energy.
Yeah, and the connection between the two tweets is obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he clearly has
that
a feeling.
Fired, but then for the Steelers organization to pick up Flores, like that's gotta make Gilmore feel a certain way, and obviously it does with the like tweet, but that's small. I'm sure though, like if he has the affinity for Brian Flores, and I think even me, I have no connection to Flores at all. I just know he was a really good coach down in Miami. To see that he was fired, I was like, this is bullshit. But for him to be
absolutely, man,
actually in the locker room with Flores, see that happen, and then to get picked up by the Steelers a couple weeks later, and this is all while Flores is suing the NFL.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a chaos to the situation. Yeah. To see the Steelers do that, I think he's got to be looking at the Steelers like, man, I respect this shit, No,
absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Like, just knowing his temperament, knowing, a little bit of, in terms of that part of it, man, like, I could see why he could have interest, like legitimate interest, because we also know that even though, he played well last year at the end of the season, because obviously he was on the PUP list the first half of the year. It was like he still played well. He still got a Pro Bowl. But for him, he's trying to get that next payday again because he is a guy that gets big contracts. He's earned that. He's very similar to Joe Hayden in that vein in terms of being a guy that is always ready to break the bank again. And I'm all fine for that. I just kind of look at it like this and say right now, his market is unfortunately not bigger than J.C. Jackson, which is good for us, though, because if we know where J.C. is trying to get to and we can start there and start working our way down towards Gilmore in terms of the price tag, well, now it might be enticing. Now you don't mind necessarily maybe paying him $1 million or $2 million more in context when you're comparing to what a J.C. Jackson, who we also have been looking at, would have cost. So, it's definitely some stuff that I could see potentially working out for it in terms of him having an interest and then us as the Steelers making the numbers work financially for him.
So you want to see what they have market value-wise?
Yeah.
This is on Spot Rack. They got it estimated at $14.1 million. A 2-year deal.
Yep.
$28 million.
Okay.
That's a little higher than I would have thought.
But think about this,
at the same time,
man.
It makes sense when you consider he probably was underpaid in his last contract.
Yeah.
And they compared it to 4 other corners around the same age who got, similar multi-year deals. So Darius Slay at 29. Now, Gilmore's 31, though.
Correct.
Slay at 29, got 3 years, $50 million, so 16 per.
Yeah. But Slay never had a depot either, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that and that's even more.
That's the
even
difference.
More.
Yeah.
So Stephon Gilmore at 14 actually seems like a better value there.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Hayden at 30 when we signed him. This was a 2-year deal for 22, 11 apiece. Logan Ryan at 29, 3 years, 31 million, 10 million apiece.
He did
so
get
those
a
are the
check.
comparable cornerbacks.
Well, what I would say is this though. I don't mind. I guess 14 is probably like the higher end for us in terms of what we would want to pay, but it's not out of the ballpark because number one, we do have a ton of cap space, but number two, the way you can move around 14 per year without it having that 14 cap per year is signing bonus. Signing bonus is different. So you give him a nicer signing bonus where it's more money up front is guaranteed part of it, but now you can disperse when you want it to hit and how much of it you want it to hit throughout the duration. So even if, I personally would rather do a 3 just because you got a little bit more flexibility in terms of how you can maneuver the cap numbers from the signing bonus. But yeah, I'm big on give him big, nice signing bonus. And then from there, you keep his base low and you just continue to work through it like that. I mean, that was something that we did with Joe Hayden. And then, every 2 years, what we do? All right, let's go ahead and extend him. Let's go ahead and extend him because that's the new variation of a restructure, right? When you're on that last year, just add another year to that deal, add another 2 years to that deal. And we saw with Joe Hayden, it worked out perfectly in terms of him loving the Steelers more and more each year. And then also that tag, that number slightly coming down a little bit each year. So with that, I'm just like, man, I could easily see a similar situation with Gilmore, especially that he is over 30. And granted, we know 31 is not crazy in terms of his play, but just from a statistical perspective, we know once corners start getting into those mid 30 or, just 30s and start to creep to the mid level, that's where they do start to slow down a little bit. And that's what we're seeing with Joe Hayden. So with that, man, I'm definitely like, yeah, he's looking more and more nice to me.
Makes more and more sense. And it
definitely does, dude.
I really hope this move happens. I mean, I don't want to sacrifice signing him for Witherspoon, as weird as that sounds, just because I think we can get Witherspoon on a nice deal. He's younger, even though he's way more unproven. I just want both, dude. Like, that would be so sick to have.
Yeah, it definitely would, man.
Gilmore and Witherspoon. Now, with Gilmore, and you were mentioning with the contract, I do think it makes sense if we could finagle it with a 2 or 3 year deal where we maybe have to pay a bigger salary cap hit in the following year or in the third year, because I think we were wrong on this. Remember the whole voidable years thing? That did take a hit into our cap space this year. It went from like 50 something. Now it's at 30. Everyone's saying that on Twitter and stuff, but we could do restructuring to kind of get it back. Yeah. But with that being said, I think we may have more cap space going forward, low key, because right now we got a $20 million. We got a $20 million hit with these voidable years. All of a sudden, those voidable years aren't going to be into play for the next year.
Right.
So who knows what our cap space could be? It's not necessarily going to be more, but I still don't think we're going to be in cap hell. I think we're going to have some flexibility in the upcoming years, because if we don't do the quarterback and we stick with Mason, we go Haskins, we go rookie quarterback, we're not going to have a big hit right there.
Yeah. No, you're right. So and that's the thing. It's like we could easily go that route, man. Yeah, we could go that route. Like I said, we're in a really good position right now, even though we have question marks. We're in a good position because we don't have a ton of holes where we have to do a full rebuild. But at the same time, we have pieces where it's like, hey, we can go here and make this work for that part. We can cover up this and that'll cover up that part. And we also, like we said, have excess of cash right now that will allow us to have a little bit more flexibility between draft and free agency. So with that being the case, man, like I said, I don't mind, man. I don't mind going for a Gilmore right now. I really don't, because I think that he could be that higher end upgrade, especially with Mason being on our rookie contract still. And with everything that we've seen, even though we know what Kevin Colbert has said, it still appears more so that they're interested in in-house / draft versus we're not really hearing a ton of rumors about trade interest, right? We see the interest in Malik Willis. Like, they've made that very, very prevalent. But in terms of interest in any guys that are on other rosters right now, like, we obviously haven't heard any rumors coming out. Not obviously the team can't say anything directly, but at least the beat writers, right? Most of the time when they want to get that information out, it's a filler out there. People talk, and that's how you can get, that information out there. Like, hey, this guy's on the market. This guy's being shot. But we're not even hearing that right now as it pertains to the quarterback position. So that's the part for me where I'm just like, man, I really feel like it's going to be a cheaper version at quarterback, regardless of if it's who we have currently in Mason and Haskins or a draft pick. So if that is the case, then yes, spend that money, man. Go get you those higher end pieces, man, so we can get where we want to be.
Yeah, try to build an elite defense. Yeah. Re-sign Edmonds, sign Gilmore, bring back Witherspoon, and hopefully Tuitt's back. Tuitt, Alualu, Hayward. That's a really nice defensive line. Then all you got to worry about is Devin Bush and maybe another linebacker. That's an awesome defense right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I did,
and that's still maybe even having some cap space left.
Yeah, well, you know what I was going to ask you too before we wrap this part up, or not wrap this part up, but before we go and start talking a little bit more franchise tag stuff. You brought up Devin Bush, and you said with him we would have to just get another linebacker. My question to you is this: what's the biggest difference between the reason why we give all these chances to Devin Bush versus Joe Schobert? Because didn't they both kind of endure the same situations? And we could kind of paint a picture that Joe had a little bit more on his plate as well when you put all of it in context, right? Because we say with Devin,
bring Schobert back.
Well, I'm saying why not? Because think about this, right? With Devin,
he's got to take a pay cut.
No. It would. But listen, but this is my thing. You would obviously have to restructure his deal, right? But if you look at both cap hits, it's not too far-fetched for either party, is it? And I think it was clear last year that, granted, Joe Schobert had a down year for his standard, but he was still our best inside linebacker.
And most consistent.
Yeah. And then when we talk about Devin, what do we say? Oh, well, Devin struggled because the D-line in front of him. Devin struggled because his coach's wife passed. Well, didn't Joe Schobert play behind that same D-line? And he played even more because, remember, they didn't start rotating him out until the end of the season. They were rotating Devin out a lot earlier. So it's like he had to deal with that. He had to deal with his coach's wife passing.
It wasn't as glaring throughout the
Absolutely.
season.
Right. But it's so
like
funny to me.
Playing average to above average.
Yeah. But it's in this, like I said, this was a down year for Joe. That's the crazy part because we talked about him in Cleveland. It's like, we've already seen him be a Pro Bowler. We've already seen him get the big contract. Whereas with Devin, we're still hoping that he can tap into potential. But we're so willing to, like I said, stay and make the money work for Devin. But I'm just like, why are we so ready to kick Joe Schobert out when Joe was legit?
It's just the contract.
Yeah.
But it's like he wants to come back for half of what he's getting, or
But this is my thing. So half of what he's getting,
something like that.
But in contrast to Devin Bush's contract right now, should he take more or less than that? That you see what I'm saying? Because if you're Joe Schobert, you've already proven yourself.
I want less. If I'm the front office, I do want less, just because.
Now, why is that though?
Being the first round pick.
But who's been more productive as an NFL player though? Who's been already proven? Whereas, like we said with Devin, we're still hoping, and we're excited about Devin because of Brian Flores. Shouldn't we be excited about Joe Schobert because of Brian Flores as well? Like, that's the part for me where I'm just kind of like, why don't we? Like, I just don't understand that part a little bit,
Schobert is a guy, the Patriots, like the Browns would cut Schobert and the Patriots would pick him up, and then he would have a low-key, good second half of the season.
He would be Cal Van Noy. He would be Cal Van Noy. He'd be Rob Ninkovich. He'd be one of those type of Teddy Bruschi type. You're like, bro, are you serious right now? And it's like, because he's a good player. He's a smart player. Yeah.
Like the all-pro up in
right.
And, he makes that game pick in the AFC Championship.
Yeah. But yet I'm over here looking like, man, we
those are all fair points
because we go through the gamut. Yeah, because I was like, we go through the full gamut of reasons why for Devin. Oh, he had the ACL, and then my rebuttal is, okay, granted he had the ACL, and we understand that. Hey, him coming back, yes, it could have an effect, but what about the impact of being traded 2 weeks before the season, and you don't even get to come here and be Robin? They green dot him the first day. When we say with Devin, it's like, Devin played his best when he didn't have to have the green dot on when he had Vince Williams next to him. It's like Joe didn't even get that opportunity. Joe hopped on the move in training and was like, go drive it. Like, don't even ride. Just now you the captain now. So when it's stuff like that, that's why I really sit back and I'm like, Joe was our best linebacker. Why are we so quick to just get rid of him? Like, man, I'm looking at that. We can restructure that. Like, that's me personally. That's how I've been feeling about it, man.
Okay, so it wouldn't be a cut and then re-sign.
I think you can just restructure.
Well, He's going all the way through 2024 right now. Cap hit for this season is $9 million. So if we cut him, it's only a 1.7 dead cap for us.
Well, then, we'll put it like this. In this situation, then, because of that part of the contract, if they can already talk to him and say, hey, look, this is what we plan to do.
We're going to cut you anyway.
Right, and then just redo the contract that way. That works as well. Or you restructure it. But whatever way, I just think that, man, he is a guy that I would like to keep in-house just because he's already the proven commodity. We've already seen him play at an extremely high level in the NFL. We've already seen him reach that second contract. Whereas for Devin, we're still hoping that he can return. But even him returning, we still never got him to tap into that full potential just yet as a rookie. So that's the part for me where I'm like, man, I don't know. Do we hang all our hat on Devin where we still already have a guy like Joe who, man, when we start talking about some of these linebackers that we've been talking about, what if we paired them with a Joe Schobert versus a Devin Bush? What does that look like? So that was some of the things, like I said, that just, made me want to think about it a little bit. And I understand the age element. I understand that.
So you're talking about trading Devin Bush then, if we bring back Schobert.
I'm not even there just yet, honestly. Like, I don't feel like that has to happen, but that is something that I would obviously need to look into because if you move from, well, you still have a hole there. But what if you bring in a guy and now you got competition? Because let's not act like we didn't draft Jarvis Jones and then a couple years later draft Bud Dupree. Are they not both first round draft picks? Were they not both under their rookie deals when we drafted both of those guys at the exact same time? So it's stuff like that that makes me just wonder, why can't we do something similar? Why can't we, figure out a way to make this work? Because I know, granted, we didn't have the biggest contracts in that linebacker room, but it was still plenty of us inside and outside that had deals done already when we drafted Bud Dupree. So that's the part for me where I'm just kind of thinking about that. How could we maximize this situation without having to do a complete overhaul or a complete betting on a Devin Bush and a rookie to come in here and really, play to the extent that we want them to play?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So Schobert for me, I'm looking at the other numbers for him in 2023, the cap hits $11 million, then 2024 cap hits also $11 million, $11.7 million, so a little bit more than even 2023. I don't think he's a dude that's worthwhile to do the whole restructuring this year to clear up cap space, because then all of a sudden that cap hit's just going to be more and more in 2023 and then 2024 as he's getting up there in age. So that's why I like the whole idea of bro, we're just cutting you. You want to re-sign here for $4 million a year, $5 million a year, something like that.
I can see that, man. I can see that.
Because having 13, 14, $15 million cap hit from Joe Schobert in 2023 to 2024.
No, I feel you on that. That would definitely suck.
Bad business.
Yeah, that would definitely suck right there, without a doubt. Like I said,
that was one of the things that was glaring right off the bat from the deal with the Jaguars is his big contract. Whenever you looked in it, it was no, there's basically a clean cut after this year where there's no dead cap. It looks like they restructured his deal last year a little bit to where there's a voidable year, and I think it's 2025. Okay. Yeah, it's 2025. So that's why you have a little bit of the dead cap now and $1 million next year, and then also 500,000 in the last year of the deal. But that's the only reason. So it's still basically nothing.
Yeah, without a doubt. And ladies and gentlemen, break. I was gonna say, yes, we are aware the stream is acting a little weird right now, but it's gonna work its way out. That's how we gotta let it roll at times like that. Just let it work its way out.
Internet a little laggy out there.
Absolutely. Nah, not even, man. It's just, you know how it goes. Technology. We just leave it at that.
For sure.
But yeah, man. So that being said, man, let's hop into these chats real quick, man, as this thing is buffering its way out. Absolutely, man. Looks like we have Jeff Hernandez. Jeff Hernandez joining the upper room. Welcome to the upper room. Yes, indeed, baby. Yes, indeed. I like it. I like it.
Russell Rodriguez just giving us some support.
Nah, salute you, baby. Salute you.
Big Ben spinning the block.
Okay.
What do you guys think of PFF having us trade for Derek Carr for 2 first-rounders and a third? I preferred the Jameis Winston option and keeping the picks. Yeah, for the 2 options he laid out, I prefer the Jameis Winston option too, because we're not losing 2 first-round picks and a third, and then we're not paying Jameis Winston 30 plus, probably 40 million. I mean, he deserves. If Dak Prescott's getting 40 million, Derek Carr's got a case for 40 million too.
Yeah. Well, and we've also seen Derek go to a playoff, right? We've also seen Derek. Granted, he didn't have the most success, but we've seen him still.
He's a big reason why they made the playoffs last
absolutely.
year.
Absolutely, and that's
he
the
impressed
big
me
part.
last year. I'm not the biggest car guy, but I thought he did really well last year.
And he had some really important moments, some clutch moments, key moments. So
the Browns game. Yeah, I remember I think it was a Thursday night Browns game, right?
Yeah,
Browns
absolutely.
go down, get a field goal, they go up, and then there's only like a minute left. It might have been like 45 seconds left.
Yeah.
And he like bang, couple passes, Raiders are in field goal range. I was impressed by him for a few moments last year, I think.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree with that, man. I definitely would. Like I said, he has some big moments, man. He, without a doubt, and his leadership, right? Handling the adversity of everything that took place, both with his coach and his teammate. I mean, it was a lot to deal with, but he led those guys through it all, man.
Yeah, I think he would have even had a better year if they would have kept Ruggs the whole season, like because Ruggs was doing really good. He was the guy that
he definitely was, man.
Defense, and Ruggs was even having a good year, but then they tried to replace him with Deshaun Jackson. Didn't really work out completely like that. Although Jackson made a play or two here and there, but that's kind of like his career. You're gonna see one game where his stat line reads 2 catches, like 80, 90 yards and a touchdown. Then next 3 games just MIA.
Now you're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. Hey, man, I don't know what is going on in terms of why we are so laggy this morning, bro. This
is it bad?
Crazy.
See, that's weird because you're coming out clear on my side. It's like straight through.
Yeah, this is super weird because I'm definitely seeing like a little lag in terms of the YouTube part of it, man. So we'll see if it's going to work itself out, though, man. But the audio is still good, though. So we'll keep this thing rolling. But, yeah, it's definitely laggy on YouTube versus anything else. So,
yeah, that's interesting because on the Zoom, you're coming through crystal clear.
Yeah, so we'll see. But either way,
let me know. Let me know if we want to change plans or anything like that.
Man, either way, man, we're good, man. Hey, keep rolling until it tell us otherwise, right?
Sure. Quan Black, just pray for Ukraine. Absolutely.
Oh no, absolutely, man. That situation is crazy right now, man. Holy smokes.
Yeah, we're blessed, man.
Without a doubt, dude.
We get to wake up and just talk about sports and tweets.
Bruh. It legit gives you context, right? It's like, man, I don't want to be dealing with that, bro. Yeah, that's a game changer, bro. That's a game changer, man. Yeah, definitely praying for those guys over there, man. Absolutely.
The Barbarian. I believe Kevin Colbert's last draft will be awesome and great for the Steelers. I hope so.
Nah, absolutely, man. Definitely need that to be the case. Shoot.
So he's going from the perspective of this is Colbert's legacy draft. This is what he leaves the Steelers on.
Oh.
This is the
me nervous.
What have you done for me lately?
Nervous.
Forget everything.
We're going to see. We are going to see.
What did Colbert leave us with?
Yeah. About to say
Steeler
we definitely
Nation
going to see.
On fire. What were some of the worst picks the Steelers have made?
Well,
man, he wants us to get negative.
If you really want to talk about it.
Golston.
Oh, no. So you about to just time out. I'm feeling attacked. I'm feeling like you only talk about my friends. What's going on here, bro?
Okay, let me go back.
Can you start at 13 and work your way that way? Like, dang, you got to start at 14 and go on?
Ziggy Hood was before you.
All right, now we're good.
He wasn't terrible, but being a first-round pick.
Right.
There was a guy or two we passed on to draft him that I think it was Laurinaitis. Was it Laurinaitis at the time?
Oh,
he wasn't the most amazing NFL player, but he actually had some.
No, he's still good though. Yeah,
Laurinaitis was a beast in college.
Yeah, I like Laurinaitis.
You don't really see those linebackers anymore, right?
Yeah,
drafted like that. The Urlacher, the just huge dude, intimidating. You gotta cover. You gotta be fast. And those are some of the prospects we'll be talking about today.
Yeah, the game has definitely changed, man. The game has definitely changed now.
I'm trying to think of a couple more picks. Limas Swede.
There you go. But to say, stay out of my 2014 that generation, all right? Because those are my peoples. Talk about everybody else.
I can't say that Limas. You know what? Even Jarvis Jones, that was the obvious pick. It's like, oh man, this dude fell to 15.
Right. I mean, he
outside of his back
amazing
issues,
at times, dude.
Which I don't think his back issues ever came up in the pros, right?
It was the speed that people talked about also with him coming out, because I think he ran was like a 4.9 or a 5 flat 40 or something crazy, right?
I don't. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was something like he was slow. Yeah,
he felt like a steal at 15.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Limas Swede, I stand by the pick because he was probably the best receiver on the board, 6'4", 6'5", stud coming out of college in Texas. Was supposed to be our replacement for Plexico. He just had drop issues. I don't know. He got in his own head because he got open. Like, there was one play. I don't know if you've ever seen this or remember it. AFC Championship 20, it was 2008 against the Ravens. The Polamalu pick, returned to the house. Oh, my God. Wide open. Hail Mary touch. Not even Hail Mary touch. It was just a vertical. He beat his dude. He was so wide open. Drops it. But then he pulls the whole, pulled my hamstring. He's laying on the field.
Oh,
for 5 minutes. Bro, just get up.
Listen. Don't compound the drop with the fake injury.
He had a huge block later in that game, though. It was weird. Like, he just came out of nowhere and, drilled a dude. Vintage Heinz Ward style, so he kind of made up for it, but then he couldn't get out of his own head from there.
But that's the thing, though. Honestly, man, you as an NFL player, that's one of the difficult things. That's something that the guys that last, they master that part. In the sense that we all have bad plays, right? We're all gonna have some type of mess up in a game. But it's like, bro, you just got to go to the next play. You legit have to flush it. Otherwise, it becomes 2 plays. Then it becomes 3 plays. And then it just continues to multiply in a sense, man. So, yeah, I could definitely understand that feeling for him, man. Okay. But are you ready to get to this next one, though, man?
Yeah, Caleb Colston video's back for me. So maybe we're doing all right now.
Okay.
Let's get to this next topic.
Sounds good. All right. Let's see, where are we at? Okay.
Franchise tag?
Absolutely. So, yeah, you start this one off. I'm going to do something on my end to see if I can help with this lagging a little bit. Sounds good?
Yeah, works for me.
All right.
So, the franchise tag talk is heating up a little bit.
It definitely is.
Not as much for the Steelers, though, but we figured, why not make a topic on it? Is there anyone on the team that we should franchise tag? Because the benefit of the franchise tag is you don't have to commit to someone long term, but
correct,
you basically have them commit to you because that's just how it works for one season. They have no choice in the matter. So players typically don't really like the franchise tag because they're looking for a more long-term deal. At the same time, for one season, you're getting paid top 5 money at your position. So as much as Bud Dupree probably didn't like when we franchise tagged him, still getting paid
he liked the check
for a year, whatever it was.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not going to complain about it too much. So here are our options, and the tag has to do with unrestricted free agents.
Okay.
Here are our options right now. And we went over these guys.
We did.
Our breakdowns, about a month ago? We went through all the unrestricted free agents. Who should we sign, re-sign? But now the question is, who should we franchise tag? If use the franchise tag at all.
Right, because like you said, man, it's a big payday, but it's only on a 1-year deal. But it's still a substantial increase in any of these guys that we're going to be talking about from a compensation perspective.
Terrell Edmonds, Trey Turner, Chooks, Big Ben, Joe Hayden.
Talk about.
He's on the list.
Yo, stop playing with me, man.
The unrestricted free agent list.
You know what? I think the whole system crashed if that's the case. If I just heard you say Big Ben is a franchise candidate, maybe the whole system just crashed.
These are just the unrestricted free agent list that they had up. This is probably old. This is probably before he retired. But anyway.
Yeah.
Joe Hayden, Ray McLeod, James Washington, Arthur Millette, Akello Witherspoon, Montravius Adams, Eric Ebron, Juju, Taco Charlton, BJ Finney, Kalen Ballage, Miles Killebrew, and Josh Dobbs. Those are our options. My answer is really simple for this one.
Yeah. I put it like this. I limit it to 2 players right away. It's either between Joe Hayden and Edmonds for me in terms of if I want to franchise any of those guys, because with Chooks, even though I thought that, even with Chooks having 2 years of starting experience now, and like I said, he wasn't the worst player. Like, he still did some decent things, and we can talk about some of the guys he had to block, J.J. Watt, Von Miller, etc. I don't want to pay him what that franchise tag is going to pay him. I would much rather, if I wanted to bring him back, I would try to negotiate a deal with him, but I don't want to pay him tackle tag money because that's a little bit more substantial than I would like,
Do you want me to go over those numbers?
Yeah, go for it, man. Absolutely.
This is why it's just such an easy no for me.
Yeah, I'm just like
wide receiver. So this is like James Washington and Juju. $18.5 million, or even Ray McLeod, $18.5 million.
When I think of franchise tag receiver, I think of Devontae Adams. None of our receivers are that.
Oh yeah, that'll be a value actually for Green Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was like, I couldn't imagine us paying Juju that. I couldn't imagine us paying James Washington or Ray McLeod that. Shoot, all three of them combined, I don't think they would get that. Like, if we're being realistic about it, because
I don't know what I would do if I just saw that pop up as a headline. Steelers franchise tag Juju.
Like,
Steelers franchise tag James Washington.
Yeah, man. Like, that's insane to me, man. Because even with Juju, right, and we're talking about where his market and what we think it is, his productivity doesn't warrant that either. I mean, obviously, you know, early on in his career when he was with AB, it looked like, he could be a candidate for that type of situation. But now that it's further and further removed from AB, we're seeing Juju is really, you know, a high-end slot receiver, but a different style of slot receiver just because of he's not really a speedy, bursty type of guy. I don't want to pay 18 for that. That's just me personally.
Want to hear the other positions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Safety, $13 million. O-line, $16.5 million.
Yeah.
Cornerback, $17.5 million. And tight end, so Ebron, $11 million.
Yeah, I don't want to pay Ebron the 11 because we already got Pat. I like what I saw from Gentry. And 11 is just a lot when we think that Pat is going to be ready to take that next step. With Chooks, 16, you said, for the tackle? Oh,
yeah, it's
terrible. 16 for Chooks. No, I can't do it. Like I said, he played well. It wasn't god-awful. You know, he had some good moments, but it wasn't to 16. If it was to 16, we would have been done this extension. If it was to 16, we wouldn't have been talking about, hey, is Banner going to get an opportunity to you know, see if he could be better? We wouldn't be talking about that for 16. But yeah, I'm cool on that one, man. No. The safety one is interesting.
We were talking about all the dudes on the list.
Yeah.
In single digit contracts.
Absolutely. And that's
all these
my
franchise
issue.
Tags are in the teens.
Yeah. And what do we say about Edmonds? We said the tag for Edmonds is 13. We think we could get him for anywhere between 6 to 8. I think anywhere between 5 to 8, just depending on how you structure it and what his mentality is. But I also think that something that could be in play, and before I even get to that part, but even with Joe Hayden, right? You said with the corner is what, 17? I think that's what you said?
17 and a half.
Yeah. We know Joe is not there right now. That, like, we don't even think that we would pay Gilmore 17. So if we think Gilmore is a better player than Joe right now at this stage in their careers, and Gilmore has a depot, I just can't do it. And I love Joe. That's my dude.
And we could get Gilmore for maybe 2 or 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. I just can't do that, man. It just doesn't make sense from a cost benefit perspective, right? But going back to Edmonds. So granted, I said, man, this really pertains to just two guys in this conversation, this franchise tag. It really pertains to Joe Hayden and Terrell Edmonds, just based on their play. But what I would say is this. I would also consider the transition tag for Edmonds very similar to what we did with Jason Worlds. So you remember what Jason was when he finished up his rookie deal. He came on, I think he had like a 7-sack season or 7.5 sacks. And that was his first real time having that productivity. We didn't want to franchise tag him because obviously it would have paid him crazy double-digit millions. But you could, right? But you transition tag him and it cut it in about half. But it was still a substantial upgrade from what he had currently been paid. It was still a 1-year deal, so it was his opportunity to come out here and show that he could do that again at a high level. And then he would have been in line to get a big contract. He just happened to retire. But
what's the negatives of the transition tag for the organization?
The negative for the organization is they don't have the exclusivity of, hey, nobody can touch this guy. In terms of other teams, they will have an opportunity to talk to negotiate a deal, if I remember correctly. And if they can get a deal done, then I think we would get some type of compensation from that. But either way, it just allows him to be able to talk to other teams and negotiate. Whereas on the franchise tag, he can't talk to anybody but us. And that's the reason why the number is a lot higher, because you're essentially saying you don't get to know what your market value is. You just have to take what we're going to say based on what guys have been paid, top 5 in that position. And that's how we're just going to compensate you. So that's the part for me where, like I said, I would much rather transition tag or consider transition tag in Edmonds, because for Edmonds, it could be either or. You might say, give me the transition tag because I think I can go out here and continue to grow, continue to excel. We saw his interception numbers. They went up. that was the big knock on him, right? Not enough splash plays. So if he feels like, hey, man, don't lock me in on a long-term deal. Let me come back on a transition tag and I can increase my numbers even more. I can play even better. Well, then he can get that big deal that he really might be looking for a year from now. So that's the part that I consider. But he also might be seeing job security. So the job security element is what? You go and you essentially say, I'm going to give you a 3-year deal worth, I don't want to say 30 because that's 10 per. I would say a 3 for 24, right? Or 3 for 28, like something in that range where, or in that 20 to 30 range, right? So he can at least feel like he's compensated to a high enough level that he's comfortable with, but also that the team is comfortable with. So that's kind of how I would look at that.
So I'm looking at, this is 2021 numbers for transition tag. Safety is at $9.6 million. I'm assuming that will maybe go up $500,000 or maybe $1 million this year.
Yeah.
So we're looking 9-10 range.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it'll be essentially a 1 year.
That's just one. Yeah. So that's obviously a little bit better.
Right.
And I think that would just happen. If we do that, Edmonds will be back on the roster because I don't think anyone is giving up picks. And it looks like they would be picks of substance. I'm trying to read through this here. Yeah, like I said,
it's a lot more flexibility and stuff like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot more movement in terms of the team that's tagging him along with outside teams having a chance to communicate. But that's why it's rare that it happens because it's either cut and dry, right? You either have a guy that is clearly franchise tag ready and you just can't get that long-term deal done, so you tag them, or they're not good enough to get the tag. It's very rare when you get these guys who have played really good, right? In terms of Edmonds, he's 4-year starter. Like you're not a 4-year starter in the NFL if you're not a good player. And we also talk about not just his impact, but how he impacts Minkah. We said that he is essentially the Ryan Clark to Minkah's Troy Polamalu. You can't have Troy without having Ryan. You need both of those guys. They work together. They both do, something that the other one doesn't like to do as well. So with that, when I think of Minkah and I think of Edmonds, I'm like, man, those two guys, we clearly have a proven pair. We clearly have two guys that work well together and are productive. So why not, try to keep those guys together as best we can?
100%. I do not want to lose Edmonds.
Yeah.
Don't feel good about paying him like $9 or $10 million this year, but it would just only be a 1-year deal. I want to lock him up long term because even with the transition tag, part of me thinks it won't feel right because we'll give him that $9 or $10 million.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming he's going to play good again. He's very reliable. He's always out there on the field. Has he played in every game? And he's only been getting better. So I feel like he's going to want a better contract the following season.
And I always
relations
too, bro.
could sour a little bit.
Yeah.
If we keep doing like just a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
We like you, just not that much to give you the multi-year deal. Yep. Hopefully it could work out. I could see him wanting a certain amount and maybe us not willing to pay him that because we give him the best opportunity for success, I feel like. We've talked about that before. I don't think he would necessarily be the same for any other team.
Right. And we said he might want to go to Buffalo and play with his brother.
We'll put it to you that way. He can still maybe perform somewhere else.
Well, we said he could go to Buffalo and play with his brother. Family ties are big in the NFL. But we also said that doesn't work because they already have 2 elite safeties in Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. So, yeah, with that, I mean, it does make a lot more sense for Edmonds to stay here and to ultimately get him on a deal. But I also laugh, man, when we talk about Edmonds, and I pointed this out to you, I think it was like a year or 2 ago, when it's like, man, people really get on him, but he excels as a tackler. I mean, we talk about how, when you see guys missing tackles, how gory that feels and how bad it is. And I was like, with Edmonds, he is one of our best tacklers. And it's so funny that people will overlook that element of his game until he has 1 or 2 bad angles where he might miss a guy. And it's like, oh my God, what is Edmonds doing? It's like, bro, do you realize how efficient Edmonds is in tackling? Like, he is one of our best tacklers, pure tacklers, fundamental tacklers. So for me, man, like, I feel like that is a critical part of the game. And we saw last year directly how much of a negative impact that can have when we don't tackle the way we need to. So that's another reason why with me, man, I'm just like, yo, I want to do what we can to keep him here because he's only getting better. And he's another good character guy. We haven't had any type of off-field issues with him. We haven't heard of any, malcontent or any type of displeasure within the organization from him or him towards the organization. So it's like, why not keep a good thing rolling?
100%. And nothing in the media either. Where
that's what I'm saying.
Causing drama.
Yeah.
So 340 total tackles in 4 seasons for Edmonds. And his last 2 years, 8 pass deflections in 2020, 6 pass deflections in 2021, had 8 tackles for loss last year. So yeah, he's good. He's just a good player.
And then he had, like I said, he had the interceptions as well, man. So when you talk about all this is a guy that is continuing to grow. This is a guy that is continuing to develop, and he is a high level athlete as well. Like, you watch him, he jumps off the screen athletically. He's fast. He's agile. Excuse me. And he's strong as well. So to me, I just think that, man, you keep guys like that, especially when it's homegrown. I mean, how many secondary guys do we talk about?
25 too.
Right.
So he's young. Like,
yeah.
You sign him for a 3 or 4 year deal.
Come on now.
Again, he's going to be 28, 29.
We call them 3 contract guys. And for me, man, it's like you had, like, how many secondary guys have we missed on in Pittsburgh that we've drafted? Safeties or corners. Like, it happens more frequently than we would like it to. So it's like you finally got a guy that you hit on. You finally got a guy that has proven that, he is a competent NFL starter. He is definitely that. We're not going to say he's an all-pro. We're not even going to say he's a Pro Bowler, but he is a legitimate NFL starter. Why lose that for the sake of, hey, I want to go try something new now. I want to go try somebody else. Like, no, you already have this piece. You already know he fits. You already know he works well with Minka. You already know he understands Brian Flores. Not Brian Flores. He understands Terrell Austin's coaching style. He understands Mike Tomlin. So it's like, why mix that up when you don't have to?
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Yeah.
Just we can't franchise tag him.
Yeah.
I guess if like you had to.
Right.
Someone forced you
but
to,
like I said,
I just franchise tag someone. I guess that would be the call for sure.
Yeah, I just think, man, when you have
a transition tag makes way more sense. You're right.
Transition tag is the way that I'm approaching him, or I'm trying to get him on a 3-year, multi-year deal. Like I said, if I'm Edmonds, I just got to decide: do I want to bet on myself or do I want the job security? If I bet on myself, give me the transition tag. If I want the job security, well, give me the multi-year deal. I know it's going to be less than double-digit per year, but it is what it is. I'm safe now. So, like I said, he just has to weigh that option, but that would be the approach that I would take towards him, man.
Yeah.
That's right.
We get some of these super chats.
Hold on. What Rod Dollar just called him? Terrell Edmonds, a.k.a. Freakazoid. I'll never forget we asked that man that. Yo, you like the name Freakazoid? What? What you mean? Who said that? Oh, that's what your nickname is. You ain't know? No, when they call me that?
Yeah.
Today.
Everyone's saying it in the chat.
Oh, that was definitely funny, man. Heck yeah.
Oh, I tried dropping that instrumental for him too.
He would give you no heat. Yeah, he was like, "Nah, I'm good on that." Yeah,
Dave Shipley, am I right on these super chats?
Yes, you are, because the last one was still Nation on Fire asking what was the worst pick the Steelers had made. So yeah, we're good on that one.
Okay, cool. He says, I could spend hours talking defense. Not an offensive type of guy. LOL. I love it.
Nah, shout out, man. We salute you, man. We definitely preach you. This is right up my wheelhouse. I love talking a little defense, baby. Love that. But right.
We had Gilmore, and then we just talked some Edmonds franchise tag.
Absolutely. Well, shoot. Now we're about to talk even some more defense, man. When we start talking about some of these player prospects that we're potentially looking towards drafting. So, yeah, man, we're going to keep this D-talk going, baby, because that's what we like to do over here. Yes, indeed.
All right, you ready then?
All right, let me go ahead and fire it up.
A lot of people. Well, we got Matt Nerdy. He's agreeing with us, saying no tags this year, no reason to.
Yeah.
But we're getting a lot of Terrell Edmonds love in the chat, though. People, I think, have switched on him a little bit. They're like, Edmonds is solid.
Okay.
Am I y'all going to spread the word? That has not been the case.
No, that definitely has not been the case. And I feel like the chat here, we're a little ahead of the curve.
Now. I mean, it flipped to Bush. They need a scapegoat.
Yeah.
It's Bush now.
Edmonds
was that guy because, I mean, we had a lot of solid players on our defense. Think of like that 2019 defense.
No, I know, man. I know.
mean, him, Mark Barron, those were the guys like people would point to.
Yeah, because it was hard to point anywhere else because of how talented these dudes were and how high the level they were playing. But just because he was the lesser of the bunch still didn't mean he wasn't playing good. Like, the defense was balling that year. That was the defense was insane that year. Like that's when we started talking like, yo, is this defense good enough to win a championship in spite of this quarterback situation? Like, that's what was going on. It's like, man, you can't hold that against them. Man, that's like saying, hey, you were the worst guy on the Ravens defense with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, or you were the worst guy on the Steelers 08 defense. It's like, bro, that don't matter. Like, yo, you still was on an elite defense. And you were a starter up there. Like, you're a good player, baby.
That'd be a good question. Who was the worst player on that 08 defense? I have to think.
See what I'm saying?
That.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
You see, but
or
it's
even
like
the 05 defense.
But you're still, but that player is still going to be a top-notch player or a really good player. He's just not the best on a team that was filled with some dogs, you know? But you can't hold that against him.
Yeah.
All right. But as we start talking about these player prospects, man, and like I said, man, shout out to everybody in the chat, man, everybody that's been rocking with us and sending these names in to us, man. So like I said, man, y'all been sending the player prospects names to the email address, moatswinners@gmail.com, and we will continue to deliver the goods in terms of player breakdowns. So the first one that I want to talk about, this Deke boy right here. Deke texted me late last night in excitement about this fella. Jojo Domann out of Nebraska. Linebacker, absolutely. Number 13 for those that don't know. Yeah. This is an interesting guy, man. He's interesting.
It took me, I think, 2 plays on his little highlight reel. I said, I mean, it was almost like I was playing Madden. Some of my reactions, I give it Madden. It's like, oh my God. Like it was like 1 a.m. last night. I see one of his hits. It was like a Ryan Clark-esque type of hit. I'm like,
he'll fire on somebody.
Shit.
Yeah, dude.
And then it took me like 2 or 3 more plays. I'm like, bro, this JoJo guy might be the dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So
now, obviously, there's probably more to it and everything, more like downside, because once you dig a little bit deeper and stuff, some injury history, but like there's more to get into. But right off the bat, holy hell, this dude looks like a football player.
Yeah, man. JoJo definitely flashes. Little backstory: he's 6'1", 230, a former safety converted to linebacker, but in his career, he has had 2 ACL tears. Initially, my first introduction to him, I believe somebody in the chat had brought his name up, but I had looked at him at the Senior Bowl. And I remember initially saying to myself, the initial evaluation I had was, I thought that he moved well in space. I thought that he could cover, but at the same time, I didn't think that he was as strong against the run versus some of the bigger O-linemen that he was playing against. So I also wrote in my notes, incomplete, need to see more film. So with that, I went on to cut the tape on, and when I'm watching him, first thing that jumps off to me is the position flexibility. I do think that, man, with him, you can move him around a little bit in terms of, do you want to keep him predominantly inside? I don't think that he's necessarily an edge rusher. I don't like him like that. But at the same time, what he can bring to the table from a covering perspective, it's hard to say that he wouldn't find a way to get out there. When I look at a Robert Spillane and I say, man, Spillane's out here, but Spillane struggles with coverage. JoJo is a way better athlete in space in terms of his coverage element. Now, I just feel like he's super comfortable as well, when he's in these spaces. I think that he is a guy that operates at a high level in his backpedal. He operates at a high level when he's having to do with shuffling and stuff like that. And that's the reason for me why I just continue to like this dude a lot.
We back.
Yeah, but then I also say this in terms of, it's talking about why I like him and stuff like that. I think that, he's a smart player. I think that, man, he reads routes well, especially when he's dropping into coverage. And I think that he also gives you, worst case scenario, an immediate impact in terms of special teams value as well, because of the athlete that he is. So I think with him, you got a lot of pros. Now, the cons for me is more so, where do you play him at full time? Is he a full-time inside guy? I think he could, but do you like him in a 3-4 versus a 4-3? Looking at his body type, I personally like him a little bit better as a 4-3 off-ball linebacker because he's not overly big and strong in terms of taking on blocks and shedding and stuff like that. So that's kind of for me where I would rather see him in a 4-3 where he's covered up and then he can just go sideline to sideline and really just excel from a coverage point of view. But at the same time, man, I do think that he is a player that is worth looking at because he brings that coverage element. And we know that in the NFL, this is what it shifted to. You even said that earlier today, right? You said we don't see a lot of Urlachers and Laurinaitis anymore. No, those guys are gone, right? You need these former safeties, former safeties turned linebackers. Matter of fact, that's what Terrence Garvin, we used to call him big safety because he was a former safety that became a linebacker. But you need those type of players. You need guys that can cover, that are willing to put their face, in the fan, so to speak, in terms of having to play in that box. But yeah, I do think JoJo could bring that element to the table, though.
Yeah, from what I looked at, he actually used to play safety, and that was the first thing. As soon as I saw him run, I was like, this dude moves like a safety. He moves
super
very
fluid.
Athletically.
I'm looking at how I was watching some of the things that he would do when he was backpedaling, some of the things that he would do when, he would speed turn out of stuff that typically as a linebacker you don't do a lot of, right? Typically as a DN or outside linebacker, you just don't do a lot of those type of movements. Whereas with him, man, he was cool with that thing. He was confident with it, man. It looked good, him playing in space like that.
So the cons, you kind of brought it up. Tweener, what type of role?
Yeah. Honestly,
Would he just be coming in on third downs, you think?
He immediate sub, he could be a sub package linebacker and special teams demon. Like, I look at him like that as his baseline. But could he grow into a full-time starter? I think if he gets
like a
stronger,
honey badger, could he develop into something like that?
Right.
Maybe not play as much safety, but just a roamer.
Yeah, like I could see him developing into that. I just don't know. Like, he would have to be in the right scheme. That's my only concern with him, because if, like I said, if you play him in a 3-4 as an inside, I think that play in and play out, he's going to have a little bit rougher time handling some of these linemen that can climb up on him. Whereas that 4-3 and he's clean. Now you're talking about him like a honey badger, right? In terms of that space player, but I don't want to put that title on him because we know Tyrann Mathieu is Tyrann Mathieu for a reason. Like we can't set that expectation. But I do think that JoJo is a player that, like I said, is very intriguing, man. Very intriguing.
No, he definitely is. Now, could you see him? Yeah, could you see him doing something like Mike Hilton? He's just like the bigger version of him.
Well, this is my question with him, and obviously we got to wait until we see him test. I just want to know how fast he is.
Right.
Right. Because
he looks like he can cover pretty good, and like we said,
he does. He definitely does, man. He definitely does, man. But that's my only concern. Is like, let me see what that speed looks like, because it's different, man, when you're talking about a fast linebacker versus being a fast corner or a fast slot corner, because the caliber of people you're dealing with is, is a little different here. And typically as a nickel guy, you're man-to-man with these slot receivers. Whereas as an inside linebacker, granted, we match routes and we play man concepts, but we also can, zone some stuff up a little bit. And we got better matchups in terms of running backs and tight ends. It's a little bit different. We're not matching slots all the time. Whereas if you put him out there as that nickel, he got to match slots. I'm not saying this guy can cover like how Mike Hilton can cover just yet, because Mike is a smaller guy. Mike, like, that's what we've seen him continue to grow, making plays even in the Super Bowl, right? We've seen Mike do that. Whereas with JoJo, I just don't know if he's to that class just yet. But like I said, when I see what his speed is, that'll give me a better barometer of it, because you're going to have to be a guy that can roll in some element, man, if you're out there playing, like I said, a Mike Hilton type role.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you don't put him as an inside linebacker, right?
At least not for us, because we run that 3-4.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be more of like an outside linebacker in a 4-3.
Right. And I don't think that he gives you the rushing capability that you would want to play edge here, like how Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt get, right?
He could in college. You're right. But yeah,
right. But it's different. Yeah.
TJ Watt out for him. You're putting him next to one of those guys. You're moving him around. It's really intriguing to me, though. Like, I feel like this is the next wave of NFL players.
Yeah, man. JoJo definitely does that, man.
Fit.
Yeah.
Now, where's he going? I'm trying to find. They're saying he might be moving up the board a little bit.
No, he's moving up. To me, I still have him in those mid rounds, just because I haven't seen his speed just yet. And like I said, at the Senior Bowl, at times where he was playing inside, he would get a little bit engulfed with some of the bigger body linemen, and that's the part where, if you're going to play him as an inside linebacker, you want to see him at least be able to be a little bit more effective in the run game. And that was a little bit where, like I said, when I watched him at the Senior Bowl, I thought that, he struggled in that element. I thought that the coverage part was good, but in terms of him coming downhill, I just wasn't really a fan of that all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd be pumped. Yeah. I'd be pumped about a couple of these guys if we drafted. I mean, him.
Yeah.
Another guy, the edge rusher we're going to be talking about. So I'd be definitely pumped if we can get him in later rounds, just to find some type of fit with our defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be really cool.
Absolutely. So the next guy I want to talk about though, man, was Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State. Safety, he wore number 1 there. Actually a Pittsburgh guy too, man, from Pittsburgh, man. 6'1", 200-pound safety. Now, this is the guy for me that I'm starting to like a little bit more the more I cut the tape on with him, man. I just think that he's a high level athlete with just a natural nose for the ball. You cut that tape on, man.
Oh, yeah.
He gets to that rock. It might not be the best, but he's going to get to that rock. And I love the fact that he's not afraid to be physical. You watch any game you want from him, man. He doesn't turn down contact at all. I ain't saying that he's bombing guys, but he don't turn it down. And that's the thing that I like about him, mate. I don't mind you being a small guy. Shoot, Mike Hilton's small. Cam Sutton's small. But you know what? Them dudes don't turn it down. Arthur Millette, he don't turn it down. And that's my thing. When I look at Jaquan, I'm like, bro, he don't turn anything down. He's with all the shenanigans. And that's the type of players that I like. And he also gives you, once again, what we've been talking about, we've been highlighting, positional flexibility. He could play free safety. He could play strong safety, but he can also play nickel. And when I think of that, I just like it because, once again, we were talking about Terrell Edmonds. We're saying, hey, man, it's a lot going on. What does the contract look like? Long-term, short-term, whatever. Jaquan could potentially be a guy that you would bring in. And I kind of like him a little. I think he's a little bit of a better athlete than a Trey Norwood that we drafted a year ago, right? But if you're bringing him in-house, yeah. So it's like, I kind of like that because now I have multiple areas that he could potentially fill if somebody went down from an injury or if, anything were to happen. It's like you at least have a guy that, number 1, is productive. 63 tackles, 2 picks, 5 PBUs, forced fumble. You got a guy that has really good instincts. Like I said, you watch him when he plays around the line of scrimmage, he finds that ball. But then you also look at him in coverage. He has really good instincts, man, in terms of just being fluid, reading routes and things like that. Now, in terms of, because we've talked about a ton of the positive with him, the negative that I had, though, was this, man. I want to see with him also how fast he is because at times he doesn't look like he has jump off the screen speed in terms of being a blazer. He looks like he's adequate speed, but he doesn't look like he's a burner. And that's the part where when you start talking at the NFL level, we know them guys on the other side, man, they can go. So that's the part where I want to just see, like, speed-wise where he's at. I don't think that he's very strong either. We talked about he's physical, just not strong. So you'll see him. He's not afraid to go take on anybody. But at times, he might be the nail and not the hammer. It just happens like that because of, like I said, him not being overly strong.
Versus Derrick Henry.
Yeah. It's like he's still he going. It was a good play for the defense, right? It was I think it was a 3-yard gain or maybe a 3-yard loss, but it just looked bad for that play for Norman. But you still want a guy that's willing to shoot his gun versus
like
right.
A 2-yard run, I think.
Right. So it's like, he did his job. It just looked gory in terms of how it happened to him, but he did exactly what he was supposed to do. So I like that part. The other part that I would say is I just think that he needs to improve his tackling. I think he gets to the ball a lot. And I think that he is still, a guy that makes a good amount of tackles. I just think that he leaves a little bit more to be desired, though. Like, when I watch him, he
doesn't have the perfect wrap up.
Right. He falls off of some stuff. Like, he'll shoot his gun, which I do like. But like I said, I just think that just the fundamentals of it, head across the bow, wrapping up, driving your legs all the time. Stuff that we talk about with Edmonds that we say Edmonds excels at because Edmonds is a technician in that part of his game. That's the part for me where I would want to see Jaquan improve a little bit more. And like I said, man, with tackling, I do think that's something that you can teach. I do think it's something that you can improve upon, especially when you already have this high level athletic ability that Jaquan already has.
So we're looking at a guy like this. We also have another safety, and you brought up Trey Norwood.
Yep.
Only if Edmonds doesn't resign, right?
Correct.
I feel like because he's going to go late first, early second. I feel like
correct.
That would really suck if we're spending a pick on a safety like that.
But like we said, it truly depends on what we do with Edmonds because the reality is there isn't a guarantee that Edmonds is going to want to come back. Edmonds could legitimately say, hey, man, I can get more money on the open market. I do not want to come back and be, this role. I don't want to come back on the tag. I don't want to come back on this. I want to go and just sign a deal and get, just play anywhere. Like, I'm not saying that he would do that, but it's not 100% ruled out. So with that, if he were to leave, like we said, if we don't retain Edmonds, you are going to have to replace him with a guy that is capable of at least doing what he could do. And you don't get those guys late in the draft. Those guys have to come early in the draft.
Yeah, it looks like this guy could jump in and probably be a starter just like Edmonds. Maybe you're going to have some rookie growing pains, but he could just be a safety. And that's what he looks like, too. It's just safety. There's no, like, tweener, hybrid role. Could he be
He's a safety.
Linebacker here
He's
there?
A safety. Yeah, he's a safety.
That's what he looks
that
like.
Can cut. He's a safety that can go play nickel corner, at the collegiate level. And if he's fast enough, he could do it at the NFL level as well. But I like him. I like him a lot, man. Yeah, I like him a lot, man.
Yeah, I think he's good, too.
Yeah.
It's just the question if we're going to be looking at him at all.
Right.
But yeah, he looks like a really good player.
Yeah. All right. Now, the next guy that we're going to talk about is also a safety because, like I said, we had a couple of safeties that we needed to address, but that was because the people in the chat, man, shout out to y'all. Y'all, these are the guys y'all want us to talk about. So we are going to continue to give y'all what y'all asked for, player. All right. So this guy, Jaylen Petrie, number 8 out of Baylor. Man, funny story with him. I had no clue, but he was a part of the Art Ball's last recruiting class, and he was like the only player to stay committed to Baylor when everybody else left in the midst of Baylor getting all the sanctions and having all the allegations come out about them, man. So I was like, it was interesting to hear that backstory and how, like, I guess loved he is at Baylor because of him staying, where when they talk about guys like Kellen Mond was in his class as well, how he left to go to Texas A&M, and a couple other guys that, have actually went on to have successful collegiate careers and go to the NFL had decommitted because of all that. So that was a little interesting for me right there, man. But with Jaylen, 6 foot, 197 pounds, safety, nickel corner.
Yeah, this guy's a little more intriguing than the last one.
Yes.
We could maybe draft him with or without Edmonds.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. He gives you position flexibility. If you want to play him as a safety, you could. I like him a lot as a nickel. Just because, like, cutting the tape on this past year, like, he was excelling playing around the line of scrimmage. I mean, very, very productive as well, right? But his productivity was so diverse. Check this out. 75 tackles, right? But then he has 3 sacks. Then he has 5 forced turnovers, 7 PBUs, 18 and a half tackles for loss, and he had 2 picks where he touched that paint. Like, when I think of guys like that, man, that are able to not just get the balls in terms of creating turnovers, but actually turn turnovers into points, turnovers into touchdowns, like, to me, it jumps off the screen a little bit more. In terms of, like, when I look at him, what do I think that he does? Well, I think he's a high-level athlete with very nimble feet. I love his hips. I think he's super fluid with his hips in terms of just covering, so you can play him zone or you can play him man. That's where the hip part comes in, right? So I like that. But then I also think that he has big vision in terms of when you watch him process routes, how he communicates with guys. Man, it was some stuff that he was doing, man, working with the it was either 42 or 22 was the other safety. Man, just some of the high level communication stuff that we do in the NFL. It's like you hardly see that type of passing of routes and communication at the collegiate level, and especially the Big 12, where we know defense isn't like a premium over there,
Yeah,
but it was really cool to see him doing that and introducing some of those concepts at that level. He also played under Matt Rule. That was another thing that was pretty interesting, man, about him. But the more I watched him, I'm just like, yo, this guy is super productive. And when you talked about Mike Hilton earlier for JoJo,
yeah, this makes way more sense.
This is the guy. This is my Mike Hilton, because you watch how he times blitzes. He jumps those counts almost perfect. And I think he does a good job because of how athletic and fast he is, because he's bigger and faster than a Mike Hilton. You watch, like, when Mike disguises his blitzes, he disguises them by stepping up to make it look like he's pressed man to man at times, right? Or he's going to be in some type of transition with these routes, and then he goes. Whereas with Jaylen, he takes a little bit of a deeper approach to give a better disguise, but because he's faster, he covers that ground, and he's able to generate a lot more force and power when he's having to rush against big offensive linemen, because he does do that as well. They'll have him stunting inside to the B gap, to the A gap at times. But because of the speed and the just tenacity that he plays with, he's able to win. He's able to out-athlete those guys. Now, I won't say that he's the strongest guy. He's very similar in terms of strength that I think of Jaquan that we just talked about. But as a whole, he's still another physical guy. He's a guy he's not turning down anything. He's with all that. And, when you get those type of safeties, right, because we know little guys typically don't like to hit. Little guys typically don't like to be physical, but he was like an outside linebacker for them. Yeah.
That's in him.
Well, because the thing is this, they ran a 4-2-5. So a 4-2-5 essentially would be it's a 3-4 for us. He would be the TJ Watt minus any rush responsibility. So they blitz him in the way that we tell TJ to cover. Whereas like TJ blitzes predominantly, and TJ is always rushing predominantly, and he does a little bit coverage. With Jaylen, it's mainly coverage with a little bit of rushing. But when you run a 4-2-5, that's just the nature of it. And if you're playing in a big toe, it makes sense to run a 4-2-5 because we know it's all about spread offense. So you want to have an athlete out there versus having a linebacker walked out. That's the biggest reason with the 4-2-5. But with him, man, I just think that, like I said, he's a dude, man. He's definitely a dude. But my question is this with him. I feel like he's good at a ton of things. I just don't know what he's great at. You know what I mean? Like, what do you say, this is, for a fact, this is him right here. That's the part for me where I'm just like, it's a pro and a con. It's a pro because, man, he's so good that you can play him multiple places. He can do multiple things. Like I said, the con part is like, do I only want to play him here, or would I want to see if he can, survive playing back, in the half? Because we've seen him do some of that. But it's like, I don't know, can he do that full time? I just don't know because he never really had to. The way they were using him and his versatility just made that a bonus, So that's the part with Jaylen where just that little bit of a concern. But other than that, man, his list of pros drastically outweigh the cons to me, man.
Well, that's why they're saying he's moving up the boards a little bit because of his performance in the Senior Bowl. Like you said, he
absolutely, man.
Working a lot more around the line of scrimmage, covering slot guys, not dudes that were taking really deep routes, but apparently he was covering everyone in the Senior Bowl. He was having no problem with that.
He was.
I get you on the go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just agreeing with you. I was like, he definitely was excelling with his coverage. Like, that jumps off the screen to me, man.
Like, the pros and cons, I'm with you on that because the pros of, man, the versatility. We get him out there for 50 or 60% of the snaps, almost like a Mike Hilton. But kind of sucks if you're drafting a dude and they're saying he's looking like second round. They got him ranked in like the 50 to 60 range just in terms of like the overall prospects. Kind of sucks if you're drafting a dude in the second round and he's only going to play 60 or 70 versus the last safety we talked about. He's got a role. He's going to play 100% of the snaps as safety. Yeah, but this is today's NFL, so like I think.
Well, I was gonna say, honestly, he plays more than 60. If you're a nickel corner in the NFL, you're playing 80% of the snaps. You're at 70-80%. Think about how often we're in nickel. Like, we play it a lot. Think about how often Mike Hilton is on the field with the Bengals. A lot.
Oh yeah. He's
so it's like, you're going to play. Like, don't look at it as, he's a nickel, so we're drafting, mid-second round for a guy that's only going to play 50% of snaps. No. In today's NFL, he's a starter. That's what the nickel position is now. So when I think of that, when I think of all these intangibles that we talked about, the real question to me becomes, where could we get him? Because if he goes out and runs a crazy fast time at the combine or at his pro day, bro, he'll sneak into that first round. I think that because the productivity is there, like almost in the sense of, I don't want to say an Asante Samuel Jr., but in that same you know what I mean? But it was like, remember how we were talking about he had that range where he could have went right, and that's what I'm saying. But no. But think about this though. The range for Asante Samuel Jr. was what? First to third. It was like he could have went anywhere in there, and that was obviously when he tested it, we saw he's not this, it's more that. Then that's why he went where he went. But if Jaylen comes out here and he runs 4.3, 4.4, like that's different because he's big speed now. Now that changes a little bit in terms of when you put him in that slot. So that's the part for me where I'm just like, I want to know or see at least, what that part is in terms of the testing. But I definitely like him a lot, though, man. I think he's a guy that can help us in a major way.
Yeah, he wasn't one of the guys, or just his position isn't one of the guys really that high on our board of needs, I think, especially if we bring back Witherspoon, if we somehow sign Stephon Gilmore. So a lot of it's going to be dependent on what we do in free agency. But let's say we just bring back Witherspoon. We don't get Gilmore, Cam Sutton, Trey Norwood. Then, I think it could make sense if we take him in the second round.
Yep. That's my thing, man. I just
then
think
you could have
that
Cam on the outside, Witherspoon, then he could be like your set nickel guy.
Yeah, 100% he could be, man. 100%. So, like I said, I definitely think that he's a guy that is worth looking into because of what he can bring to the table and because of the size and just the overall productivity. Man, 18 and a half tackles for loss, but that's a ton of productivity around that line of scrimmage, man. A ton of it. Now, he's another one that I would still like to see improve his tackling as well. But just like Jaquan, like we just talked about, right? It's like, man, he's never going to be afraid to shoot his gun. He's never afraid to go, be physical. And to me, that's half the problem. As long as you got that, you're good, man.
Yeah, I like this game too.
Yep, absolutely.
These are all prospects they're sending us. The chat sending us.
This is all the chat. The chat sends the names. Man. The chat sends the names. We just look them up, man. It's a ton more in there, man. Like I said, man, you keep putting everybody in the chat. Y'all keep putting player prospects names that y'all want us to break down. Not in the chat per se. Send it as an email because obviously right now we're live, so we haven't had a chance to watch the guys that y'all are currently telling us. But if you send it as an email to moatswinners@gmail.com, then I got a chance to, we can break these guys down and really give a proper evaluation like we're doing or like we've continued to do. So, yeah. All right. So, next guy we want to talk about. Deke was also excited about this guy as well, ladies and gentlemen. Always enjoy
this guy.
Always enjoy when Deke gets excited.
We have to. James
Houston, DN linebacker, number 41 out of Jackson State, former Florida Gator. And then after his time in Florida, he went to Jackson State. Absolutely, man. But I'll let you start with him because I know you like this dude a lot. My man Deke was like, yo, he's the one.
He's the next Micah Parsons.
It is. Talk about him.
He's the next Lawrence Taylor. He's the next Von Miller. What's not to like? And we might be able to get him in like the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
We need to draft him. No, but I do like his story, though.
Yeah.
And I think this is why he was really successful, or even why he's really intriguing. Like, he excelled as a pass rusher last year at Jackson State, 16 and a half sacks, and balled out in, like, their championship game was a big part of the momentum change as to why they won. But he started his career with Florida as just like a borderline role guy at – was it inside line? What did they run, a 4-3? So was he
I don't know what they run, actually.
Linebacker in a 4-3, but he was like basically like an inside linebacker if he was in the Steelers system at a 3-4. Florida, and didn't really have a role there. Didn't have like that much production for his first 3 seasons. Then transfers to Jackson State, and then just gets 16 and a half sacks as an edge rusher, and is doing things that has Deion Sanders comparing him to Micah Parsons, that has others like on just mock draft sites comparing him to like Von Miller because of his bend, and also Lawrence Taylor. Like it's crazy, man. I really like his story, but he looks good, bro. And like he was balling out. It wasn't the Senior Bowl. What was it? Like the Shriners Bowl?
East West Shrine Bowl. Yeah, East West Shrine Bowl.
The NFLPA Bowl, where he was playing that inside linebacker. They had him moving all over the place. It looked like he was good in coverage. He had some of that stuff from Florida State, where he was able to cover down the field, move pretty well. But then when they put him on the edge, he was toasting the tackle.
Yes,
so
100%.
I like this dude. I don't know where they have him. It feels like because of the small school and then the limited productivity throughout his whole career might hold him back a little bit.
Right.
But, I mean, right off the bat, he jumps off the screen as an edge. He really does.
Yeah. Well, like you said, man, the 16 and a half sacks, man, at Jackson State this past season, it jumped off. At times, it looked gory. Watching him just fillet these tackles, man, I was like, yo, this dude, I don't know where they found him. But then when I found he was a transfer, I was like, oh, he looks like an SEC athlete playing against HBCU talent. And it jumped off the screen, man. But I would also say this, man, even when I went back and watched his tape from Florida, I thought that he had a natural nose for the ball. His ability to play against the run, he was super physical, downhill, and could blitz at an extremely high level. To me, those are a lot of things that made him intriguing to me. Now, what he struggled with was coverage, and that was part of the reason why it ended, in terms of him not continuing to have a role that he wanted while he was at Florida, just because that part, right? He really, in terms of just understanding leverage, understanding, moving his feet, playing in space, he struggled with that then. But what I will say is this: at the Shrine Bowl, watching him in practice, he covered well. Watching him in the game, he should have had a pick. He dropped it, but it was a PBU, so you still give him a that boy.
Interference too, right?
Yeah, he's like that boy, but it's like, well, you got to catch that. Man, that's a pick, bro. But as a whole, man, I just think that his rush ability is what jumps off the screen to me. Like I said, his get off is crazy. His bend is crazy. His hand usage, and I like the fact he has a rush plan. He puts moves together. He rushes and puts them in sequence. It's like, okay, if this isn't here, well, now I'm going to flow to this. If that's not down, now I'm going to flow to that. He never gets stymied or stuck in one place versus an offensive lineman. And like I said, that was him just at Jackson State. But then you watch him at the East-West Shrine game, and it's like, man, now he's going up against bigger body tackles. Now he's going up against more legitimate competition, so to speak. And even with that, he still was doing what?
He was cooking them.
He was cooking them. And that was, for me, the difference. That was for me where I was like, okay, I had my concerns, but now they're easing a little bit. Now, he's still on the smaller side. I think he's, 6'1", about 225, 230. But I don't mind even if you put another 5 pounds on him, and that makes him a little bit sturdier against the run, because I think that his burst is so good, it's not going to affect him. You know what I mean? So, because I don't want him off ball. I think that playing him off ball would be a disservice unless you give him the Vince Williams treatment. Heavy versus the run, and then you blitz him.
They had him playing off ball here and there.
Yeah, that's the part for me where I'm just like, I'm not 100% sure just yet, man.
That's what could make him a steal, though. I mean, if he could drop into that 4th round range, or even drop you won 6th round. I don't know where he's looking to go right now. I think the range is pretty wide.
I could see him anywhere between the 4th and the 7th, just because it's like the tape is real, but the competition makes you question it. But he's outside. But at the same time, he's not prototypical size outside linebacker either. But he also will give you special teams value. So he's very versatile. He brings a lot to the table. It really just depends on how you want to utilize him and when you want to take a chance on him. But if you truly believe that he could be the guy, then why wait to the 5th? You can get him in the 4th, get him in the 4th. But if you feel like you can get him in the 5th, well, get him then. But as a whole, man, I just think that he's super intriguing because of what he was able to do, at Jackson State, along with when he went to the East-West Shrine game.
Because if those are the only negatives in terms of competition, hasn't been in the edge rule for his whole time in his college career.
Yep.
Am I wrong? Are those the only negatives right now? And then we're talking about coverage. You wouldn't really have him doing that as a 3-4 edge.
Right. You're going to be buzz drop. Yeah, go buzz drop under number 1. You're going to play outside leverage in quarters. You're going to have an inside guy to help you. If it's cover 1, you're going anyways. If it's cover 2, shoot, you're still going to be going, because the way we play cover 2 in Pittsburgh, we don't really ask our outside guys to do anything special. Yeah. And cover 6 is going to play the same way as 4. Outside leverage, just stay, like I said, make sure you keep your leverage, staying outside out of it. You don't have the vertical carry, get hands on them within 5, move your feet, shuffle. You can teach that, you can coach that up. And I think that he's athletic enough to do that part without a doubt, man.
Oh yeah. I was going to say he should excel in that. Actually, if that's the rule where it's just minimal coverage as the 3-4 edge, that's just icing on the cake. And he should be good with that due to his history as the off-ball linebacker, as you mentioned. I like
we said, dude. And remember,
he could be the Melvin Ingram,
right?
Melvin Ingram for us that he should have been last year,
right? And this is an SEC caliber athlete. Also, remember that it's not like he was at some small school predominantly, and we're asking, can he do it? It's like, no, he already has tape at Florida where he shows the athletic ability. He already has tape at Florida where he was making plays. It was just they looked like they used him wrong, and that's the part where it's like, all right. Maybe we could change that.
Coach in Jackson State, he should get some props, right?
Man, I think I heard this guy's the greatest corner of all time.
Oh man, where's Philo at?
I heard he's the greatest corner of all time. Yeah. I don't see that corner going on there teaching that. No, I'm playing. All right,
but that's all we got for him, dude. I want to draft him. I
like him a lot.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well,
I'm even starting to think he might go 3rd.
Well, I got the double interest also. Well, put it like this: if he goes up there and runs a blazing 40, which I think he will be, he looks like he'll be in that 4.5, 4.6 range. If he's in that 4.5 range, he'll probably go earlier, bro. Yeah, I think he'll definitely go earlier. But I also like him, and why I would want to draft him is because he's a small school guy now. And, a small school guy's got to stick together. So even though he went to Florida, I'm going to claim him as a small school.
Though, bro.
Oh, no, you're right. We Sunbelt now.
Anymore. You're big time.
Well, because he went to Prime. He was with Coach Prime, all time. The greatest corner of all time. So since he was there, I'll give him a pass, okay? Because you're right. I'm bougie. Now, stick my chin up to those.
Sunbelt.
Yeah.
You know what it is, Sunbelt?
Yeah, Sunbelt. The Sunbelt. Absolutely, man. Now that we're there, the prestige just went up. Come on, baby. Hey, yesterday's price ain't the day price for the Sunbelt. Remember that, all right? JMU there now.
Is that the master plan for James Madison? All of a sudden, 10 years, moving up to what's next? What would be the next? Because you can't jump from that to
no.
Or can you?
No, I mean, I'm sure. Well,
actually,
think
Big
about,
12 out of the Power 5, they're probably the worst. So maybe
right, because I was going to say, think about with who just made that jump? Oh my goodness.
I mean, TCU did back in the day. They went Mountain
West.
Yeah,
but no, it was two teams. Think about
no.
Two teams just jumped into the Big 12. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on who they were. But
was it Iowa State? Was it some random?
Yeah.
Iowa State's in there, right? There might be another rando or two.
They're in there. But for me, man, I can see it go Sunbelt, and then I'm going to hate the ACC. Like, I don't. But think about this. But this is my thing.
You want that smoke?
Why wouldn't we? Every time we ran into that smokestack, we done came out first. We done came out fine. The Orange Bowl champs, right? Oh, victory formation. That's all I'm saying. We with whatever. Every time we didn't have opportunities.
Have you played
every time
Virginia, West Virginia, Virginia Tech? Those are all the
absolutely, man. Absolutely. They played UNC, they went Maryland, Duke. Like, they done played ACC teams like a lot. Have success. We don't fit that ACC. We want all that. Yeah, we want. Run that. Absolutely.
Region-wise, right?
We ain't worried about none of that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But trust me, man, we ain't worried about that. We ain't worried about that at all.
So what's that plan? That's 5. Is it 5, 10 years? 10 years?
We'll see. 10
you
years.
Be in your 40s?
Listen. Funny thing, 10 years. Who even knows what the NCAA looks like? It's probably hey, man, these teams, they got their own conference over here. They operate their own league over here. NCAA isn't a thing anymore. Like, who knows? So, yeah, we'll see, bro. We will see, man. But you ready to get this last breakdown in, man? Last guy I want to talk about, bro. Offensive lineman out of University of Texas, San Antonio. So, UTSA. Spencer Buford. I think I say he said his last name. Number 74. Left tackle, 6'5", 295. Played at the Senior Bowl as well. I'm not going to lie, dude. I liked how he moved. I thought that at the Senior Bowl he played well. I thought that he showed really good ability versus, some better competition. Now, in terms of the pros, I think that he is very athletic. I think he has really nimble feet for the tackle position. I love his ability to pull as well from the tackle position. You watch him sometimes, man, pulling around up on guys like he'll hit you with the bump, bump. Like it's a cool little vibe, man. I think he has a nasty demeanor that he plays with that you want in your offensive lineman.
Off on people.
Yeah. He definitely has a nasty demeanor. And he's trying to finish on everybody. Like, it doesn't matter, big, small. If he gets a chance to take you to the ground and big boy put all that 295 on you, he's trying to do it to the full extent. He's a guy that, like I said, I would love him as a teammate. I would hate him if I was playing against him. Because I'll be saying to myself, bro, like, we're going to end up fighting before this day over with if you keep trying to do all this extra, all the extras. But that's what makes him a good player. That's a part of his game. And he plays with really good effort also. That's another thing I like about him. But like I said, man, just in terms of the question marks about him is, almost a similar situation to the James Houston thing, right? The competition level. We know with competition at times, it wasn't the best of the best he was playing against, but he still was productive. Some of the things that I think he needs to clean up, though, he drops his head at times, man, when it's time for contact, especially with some of the pass rushers.
When he's moving?
Yeah, he'll put that down like that, and, man, he gets beat at times, man.
Guys, right?
Yeah, he definitely does that. And that's one of the things that, can you coach it out of a guy? I think so, but it's going to take time because that's a habit that he just has right now, man. And like I said, when he connects, it's great. It's fine. He puts those paws in, he gets guys moving. But when he drops it and he misses, it's bad. You know what I mean? And that's the part where it's like you don't want your tackle whiffing too much, especially the left tackle. And that's the part for me where I was like just a little bit a little bit leery of him in that part. I also think that he's a little bit smaller, right? He's not the most chunky of tackles.
Nah, he's thin.
Being at 295, yeah, he's thin. So part of the reason why he moves so well is because he's light, but that's also part of the reasons that he struggles in terms of when he drive blocks. Like, you'll see him make initial contact and it's a good pop, but he really doesn't generate a ton of movement, but he doesn't give up a ton of movement either. So just full context, it's more so like a stalemate, but you typically want those guys to be able to, get you 2 to 3 yards of green grass. So now your running back can have more space, because remember we talked about last year with the Steelers offensive line. That was one of the things that we struggled with. We really didn't have a ton of, movement happening up front from a positive perspective.
Yeah. Now, so a couple of things I have.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really similar to you. So I like how he moves, and could that actually benefit us in the Canada system?
It could. It definitely could, man.
Squeeze, who knows, more
it definitely
lateral runs. So there's that. But I felt like for passes, and specifically on like passing downs, edge rushers were able to get by him. So I think his feet's good. Like, he moves well, but for some reason, I don't know if this is the dropping of the head that you're talking about.
It is.
Like, he looks awkward sometimes in the passing situations, and the edge rushers are able to like cook him. Like, he goes for the big hit, but a lot of times he'll miss, or he can't like contain it in a way. Like, it's the big hit, but then you're right. Like, the guy can just get off him kind of easily then.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's the part where it's the fundamentals in terms of when you drop your head and his hands, are narrow at times. It's like, his hands aren't narrow. In fact, his hands are usually on the outside because he gets beat to the sternum a lot as well.
He's always just trying to hit, man. Like, he's not trying to wrap dudes up and just hold them.
And that's the part where I said, like, if you feel like you can get a guy that can coach that out of him and really improve his technique, then, he could be really intriguing, because he is nimble. He is physical. You see the pulling ability, but as a whole, the flaws in his technique make him vulnerable. The flaws in his technique get him in trouble versus, little faster guys or just more polished rushers. I know when I'm watching him, I'm like, man, okay, I can see how he gets beat here. I can see I could beat him with this because of what he's doing right here. But if he takes that out and he sits more vertical, now it's a different conversation. But you have to get him to understand, hey, keep your head out of it. Keep your chest up. All right. You want to kick back, kick, like things like that. Carrying your hands a little bit higher. Like, some of those things you could teach him and coach him up on. And as a whole, I think that you could probably tap into that. But at the same time, you don't take those type of guys early. This is more of like mid to the end of the draft, because he's more of a project. But at the same time, when you're talking about the potential ways that we're going to have to add linemen or add competition, these are the type of guys that you kind of look at in those veins, because he would be a middle to late round guy. But could he potentially give you a little bit more than down the line, right? Then, if Dan Moore were to go down, you had to put LeGlue at tackle or somebody else or Joe Haig at tackle. Could a guy like Spencer potentially, develop to an even better version of that? Because I do think he's more athletic than those guys, but he's not as fundamentally sound as those guys. And that's the pros and the cons of both of them, with that. But like I said, I definitely think that he's intriguing. I would also like to see him improve his strength as well, because like you said, he tries to go for the big hit a lot. And even when he connects, if he's not full force going forward, like a downhill motion, it really doesn't have a ton of stopping power. It's a big collision, but he's not overtaking guys unless, like I said, it's a run block or he's pulling. When you watch him,
if anything, it's just clogging up the lane sometimes.
Right. Whereas when you watch, some of these higher end tackles, when they kick and when they punch, it's stopping power. You're seeing edge rushers' feet go from this to That's the part. That's how you can really tell if a guy has a big punch or not. And it's like, he doesn't give me that. But could he develop it? Could you make him stronger? Absolutely. Most people will say, hey, man, you're not going to get any stronger. I can tell you firsthand, I got a lot stronger when I worked out with Debo. And I was already 6 years into the league when I did that. But you can get stronger if you put that as a focal point, if you put that as an emphasis. So those are some of the things with Spencer that, like I said, I like about him, but at the same time, some of the things that make me a little bit more leery about him as well.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking late round pick too. Could move well. I thought he did good in the running game. And then when it was like play action too, it looked like he could get dudes, I guess, win against the edge rushers or went against the defensive line, whoever he was going up against. But whenever it was like those passing situations, he just looked awkward at times, or just was whiffing and sometimes.
And like I said, that's the technique. He definitely has to get back to improving the technique, because until he does that, he is going to have, some issues with that just at this level. Now, could he come in and be an extra alignment right away? Yes. But once again, he doesn't give you the same type of strength that a Zach Banner does, right? Think about how big Banner was when he would come in as an extra alignment, and the movement that he could generate. Spencer is nowhere near the size of a Zach Banner from a physical perspective. So you're going to get, like I said, a little bit less movement. Now, he should still be able to block better than a tight end would versus an outside linebacker or a DN type. But as a whole, I just don't think it's going to be as, productive as we would probably like it to be early on, until he cleaned up the fundamentals and until he got a little bit stronger as well, and maybe even put on some more weight. Because like I said, 295, like that's a light tackle. I know me, if I'm looking at a tackle that's under 300, you feel good about the matchup, because you're just like, yo, he ain't gonna have enough. And with Spencer not being a big puncher on top of that, those are some of the things that, like I said, definitely could get him into trouble, man.
If you feel like you could bull rush him and just push him back,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
just the speed on the outside, you can hook him with a move, a spin, or something like that. Then it could be gory. I mean, this is always rookie year, though. Who knows? You're right. He could develop down the line, because there is some things that you like about him. Do you think he should go right tackle at all? Because they were trying him out at right tackle a little bit. Senior Bowl, it looked like.
Yeah, they definitely were. I would need to see more of him as a right tackle before I say, put him as a right tackle, because as we talked with Banner, right, he was a prime example of this. He talked about how just the footwork is different and the mechanics are different. We even heard Dotson talk about going from the right side to the left side. It's just the way certain guys are wired, at least as a guard, is still more of a balanced stance. So it's probably not as difficult. Whereas when you're talking to tackle, man, that is no, like I equate swing tackles the same as swing edge rushers. In terms of when you are so used to driving off that left foot, you're so used to kicking back off one foot. When you got to switch it and now it's the right foot, some guys, they just mechanically, they just can't process that fast enough at this level and understand, okay, well, now with this hand supposed to be my punch hand, now it's going to be this hand. Like, it takes guys some time to rewire themselves. Not everybody can do that. So with a guy like Spencer, I just don't know if he's capable of that just yet, because like you said, he did a little bit of it at the Senior Bowl, but we just didn't see a ton of it. So that's the part for me where I'm like, sure, but you would have to get him into camp first off, or maybe, pro day combine, you highly evaluate him, but it's still hard because it's just him moving in space, not him having to actually react, punch, and actually compete against an actual defender, if that makes sense.
Yeah. He's not a dude I'm as high on versus Houston, or even like Jojo. Jaylen. I like Petrie. I like Petrie.
Jaquan, all them dudes, man.
I like Petrie in terms of like safety, just because that's not as dependent on if Edmonds resigns or not. He could be a nice guy to take in the second round and play a decent amount. This dude is just, for me, late round pick. If we draft him, good depth for this season, and then who knows going forward. Yeah, whereas like, I think some of the other guys, they can make some immediate impact. Yeah,
I would definitely agree with that sentiment as well, man. But like I said, man, shout out to everybody in the chat that was sending us those names, man. Continue to email them to me. Moats Winners. All right, moatswinners@gmail.com. Whatever player prospect y'all want broken down, man, just continue to send them to us, man. We will continue to do this thing, man, all the way up until the draft, all right? So with that being said, we got a couple supers that just came in, and after that, I have to get ready to keep my schedule around the clock. It's time for yoga.
You got yoga?
No, I think I got blood work this morning. I got to go on a walk yesterday morning. It was actually fun, man. Took me to some beach out here, man. Took me some pictures. Get my nature flow on, becoming one with myself.
Nice.
Mind, body, and soul.
I'm glad it's working for you out there.
No, I feel good. They tell me to talk more. I feel good.
Nice.
Feel good. When I come back and be hugging you all the time, you be like, yo, you okay? No. I'm at one with my core. I have mental clarity. I'm just appreciative of everything.
I mean, that is the one thing that would be like Rogers,
with the super
right?
long post, bro.
Yeah, hashtag gratitude.
Yep, that's how I'm gonna do it, bro. That's how I'm gonna do it, bro.
I'm at 8T. Is that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yep, that's where we're at. Yep, that's where we're at.
AT says, I really like Jordan Davis in the first, assuming we take care of our O-line and free agency. What are your thoughts? Could be an option. If Tuitt comes back, I don't want to draft a lineman.
But remember, though, we wouldn't want to draft a D-line, but remember, Jordan Davis is a true nose. He's not
it's a different position.
DN. Yeah, right. He's not a DN. But I think it really would depend on, for me, what we do with Tyson. If if Tyson's back and he's good to go, it's like, we don't need a Jordan.
Right. So you wouldn't even if Tuitt doesn't come back, you wouldn't even worry about him as much?
Well, because my issue is this. Even if Tuitt isn't back, Tuitt is, like I said, a 5 tech. He's a DN in our 3-4. And then he goes and plays the 3 technique when we go to the sub package, whereas Jordan is a legitimate nose. Now, he can rush from
Tyson
the nose.
Do some of that Tuitt stuff, though?
He could get away with it, but more so Wormley would. That's my thing. You know what I mean? So it'll be Wormley, it'll be Loudermill, guys who are a little bit taller, a little bit more longer. Whereas like with Tyson, he's built kind of like a Travis Jones, right?
Yeah.
Short and more like compact built, not long arms where they can, play a little bit more in space. So that's the part for me where I'm like, with Jordan, if Tyson is back and Tyson's going to be our guy, then I don't want to draft Jordan in the first round to just compete with Tyson when we're bringing Tyson back,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
AT says, on a previous show, you guys talked about the possibility of Tomlin taking Colbert's spot and us hiring a coach. Man, when was this? I think that makes more sense now than ever.
Yeah, that was early on where we were saying that Coach T could become
Tomlin doing coach GM role. Though,
but we were saying
specifically doing GM.
No. I've heard it referenced multiple times in multiple ways of coach GM, and if it doesn't work as the coach, then you keep him on as the GM. Or if it doesn't work as the GM, you make him just keep him as the like either or type thing. Yeah, but at the same time, it becomes more talked about because of Brian Flores being here. Because Brian Flores is what? A head coach, a guy who's already shown that he can do it at this level, and that's the part where it just starts to get talked about a little bit more, brought up a little bit more. But as a whole, for me, man, I don't want to change Coach Tomlin's role right now. I still like him being directly, the head coach. Like if he's always going to have his hand in the GM element of it, but head coach is who he is, and that's kind of why I want to keep him at, man.
I'm with you. If he wants to coach, he gets to coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's proven to be a pretty good success as a coach right now. AT says again, he adds to that. Says now that we have Flores, and then I think we have
we got one left. I think.
Yeah, is it one more?
Yeah, it should be
I think it is.
Adolphus.
Adolphus.
Yeah.
Adolphus Tarly. My mock. At 20.
Here we go.
Rain.
Ooh, okay.
At 52.
We like King in the Light now.
Elam.
Okay. Elam, okay.
At 84. He's a cornerback. At 84, linebacker. Leo Chanel.
Okay, yeah. I seen Leo's name come up a little bit too. He's a guy we're going to break down soon. I got you.
Wide receiver, Alec Pierce. Is the next pick? 222.
Yeah, the safety.
Palomalu. We're drafting him. I'm surprised he doesn't have Hayward in here too.
If he's related to anybody, he's getting drafted.
At 238, center Nick Ford.
Listen, he's going to add Connor Hayward to the comp pick we're going to get. That's what it's going to happen.
Yeah, we get Palomalu and Hayward next year. Isn't there one more guy that has a connection somehow?
I'm sure it is, bro. It always is, right?
There is one.
It always is, man. If they got a connection to anybody within the organization, we're gonna take them. We'll draft them. Yep. And then he said the last guy was what? At 238. He said the center Nick Ford.
Ford. Yeah.
So what I'll do is this, man. Adolphus, with those names, man, I like your little mock draft. I'm gonna go look at some of these guys, especially the later guys. And, we'll have a little opinion on them as well, man. But no, I definitely like that. And like I said, man, anybody that wants players specifically broken down, just continue to send those emails. We'll continue to get to those guys and continue to chop out, hash out that info for you on these shows, man. But yeah, man, shout out to everybody that was with us today. Hope you started your Friday off the way it's supposed to be. All right.
Great way to start a Friday.
Heck yeah, baby. Heck yeah. So with that being said, man, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and we will see y'all next week. And until
100%.
And until next time, baby.
Peace.